Am I the asshole for showing up to my friend's cosplay-themed 30th as Phoebe Buffay? My friend Rachel's 30th birthday was this past weekend. Obviously not her real name, haha. We've been friends since college and work in the same industry, a boring one, lol, so we stayed close. I helped with some of the logistics but was not a host or anything. Rachel has always been into fandom stuff, always has shows she's watching, fanfiction she's writing or reading, fan theories and fan projects. I am not much of a fandom person. When I watch shows, I don't get very invested or engage with fan theories. I also don't tend to like shows where there's a big fan following. From what I can tell, it's mostly stuff that's like fantasy, science fiction, or paranormal that happens. Forums for shows I like tend to all be, this character is over-hater, or, X is a bad person. The closest I've come to anything like that is watching a few episodes of Star Trek with my dad as a kid. I usually like real-life dramas or fun light-hearted shows like Sex and the City or Friends. I know the cool thing these days is to make a big show about how you don't find Friends funny, and truthfully I haven't seen an episode of it in years, it's just an example. For her birthday she asked everyone to show up in cosplay from your favorite series. I will say most of our social group is similar to her in that they like this sort of thing. I'm one of the few odd ducks out. I tried to think of something I could dress up as. I saw some TikTok of a girl showing off her Phoebe Buffay inspired outfits, and I had a few similar things in my closet, so I went with that. When I showed up, Rachel greeted me and then asked me what I was dressed as because she didn't recognize it. I told her. She didn't know the name, I explained, and she made a funny face and said, I guess that kind of counts. I didn't think about it again until later in the evening when Rachel was talking to everyone and thanked them for coming and saying she'd had fun talking about the cosplay costumes with everyone and how everyone did such a good job, except Jessica. But it's okay, you definitely might have tried. It's not like everyone laughed or anything, but it was so awkward. I ended up leaving a little while later because it just felt off. A couple of days later, Rachel and I were texting and she said, by the way, next time I'll help you pick so you aren't embarrassed. I feel like she's implying that I should be embarrassed. Am I the asshole? Info. She asked everyone to show up in cosplay from your favorite series. I saw some TikTok of a girl showing off her Phoebe Buffay inspired outfits. I mean, did you dress up as Phoebe Buffay? Long blonde wig? Guitar as a prop? Or did you more come as yourself, but just wearing some Phoebe-ish clothing? I would have simply been like, I'm not embarrassed. I love Friends. I don't even know why you're asking why you're the asshole. What part of this retelling makes you think you are? Honestly, you could have put no effort at all in and I wouldn't care. If one person dressing up makes or breaks the party, then the party sucked to begin with. Not the asshole, your friend, birthday girl was a huge awe. It's enough that she asked this of her guests. To have anything other than an encouraging and positive reaction to someone's attempt is massively awe-ish. On top of that, she called you out in a public way. I would be significant other pissed and uncomfortable and embarrassed. To her text, you could reply with something like, I wasn't embarrassed until you went out of your way to embarrass me. I don't appreciate being treated like shit, being made the butt of the joke, or being publicly humiliated. I wasn't imperfectly happy with my outfit and I have no idea why it didn't meet your standards, but if I'm being honest, you just seem like a bully right now. I've been to 2 parties where the theme was 1960s. I dressed in early 60s each time. I was the only one. For one, I sort of emulated a Mrs. Robinson character vibe. People asked me if I had been to a work or church event. Lol. Edit. The Graduate was released in 1967, so not even early. Everyone else associated 60s equals hippie, psychedelic, long hair, beads, etc. You do you. Your friend was rude. Cosplay from your favorite series, you followed the request. Not even a requirement. I don't like shows that have a big fan following. I watch Sex and the City. Not the asshole, but I'm pretty sure that show has a huge ass following. Unless you didn't even try. At 30, one would think she would be over her mean girl impulses. You aren't into cosplay as much as she is. You picked what interested you. You didn't know your selection had to meet her approval. I would have declined her offer and probably any future invites when costumes were required. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for demanding my unemployed roommate pay me back after seeing her buy a MacBook? So my 34F roommate, 32F, and I have been living together for 2 years now. We split rent 50-50 even though my room is slightly larger, but I cook more so it evens out. She lost her job last month and asked if I could pay her share of the rent until she gets a new job. I said yes since we are a friend and times are hard. Fast forward to yesterday. I come home from work and see her unpacking a brand new MacBook, $2,000 plus, and some clothes. I asked her where she got the money to buy this when she doesn't have a job, and she became defensive and told me her parents sent her money for her birthday. I informed her that if she can afford luxury products, she should repay me the rent I paid immediately. She claimed the money from her parents as a gift exclusively for those products and that I volunteered without any conditions. I reminded her I am not rich either and I missed a weekend getaway with my friends in order to pay her rent. She began crying and told me that I am being materialistic and do not understand her problem. I discovered this morning I received half the rent money in an envelope with a message stating she'd pay the other half when she can but won't speak to me much anymore. I don't feel I'm being unfair in demanding my money when she's spending money on non-necessities, but perhaps I should have been more compassionate? She started crying and said, "You don't understand her problems?" No, I don't understand using your birthday money to buy a $2,000 while letting your roommate sacrifice her weekend to pay your rent either. Pay up, not the asshole. Do you believe that her parents gifted her money for these items? If so, they can afford the items that they want their daughter to have and may feel will help her to get a new job more quickly. So I guess I'm asking an info. Do you believe her about the money? She's buying luxuries instead of paying rent? Even if her story is true, she should have said to her parents, "Thank you so much for offering to buy me some clothes and a MacBook, but honestly, what I really need now that I lost my job is to cover my rent until I find a new one. Would you mind if I took the cash and put it towards rent, or even, took the portion of the cash that went on clothing?" Not the asshole. She should be paying her debts, including the one to you, before she buys luxuries. I might make an exception for a computer, which is an essential for many people, but I suspect that whatever her computing needs, there are cheaper options than a MacBook. Not the asshole. She's leeching off you. Also, I find it hard to believe that her parents sent her thousands of dollars for her birthday to buy a MacBook and clothes while she was unemployed and struggling to pay rent. It's far more likely that they sent that money to help her pay her bills. Info. Let's start with this. When was her birthday? I'm sorry to tell you, but she's a user and you've been played. Cut your losses, move out and don't expect to be paid the balance of what you are owed. I don't think the friendship survives this. A hard lesson for you both, I'm afraid. Am I the asshole? Dogs left out at kid's birthday party and requested they be locked away. I, 34M, have a son in first grade and got invited to a pool party. The kids invited to go to school together and or play youth sports on the same teams. When we got there, what I was told was a Malinois came up to us and sniffed and pawed at us. I told it to get away, and it did. My son does not like dogs since an incident at the park. I told it to get away a few more times in the next few minutes as we said hi to people. I noticed another dog outside. We were not told about the dogs ahead of time and my son didn't want to play with his friends as he was hesitant to be away from me. I'm friendly with the host parents, but we don't know each other outside of our kids' activities. I approached mom, thanked her for the invitation and complimented their house. I asked her to lock the dogs away and explained the situation with my son. She looked clearly annoyed at the request. She told me she doesn't react well to being locked away and asserted that they were friendly and safe. I reiterated my son was not okay with dogs and didn't want to be around them. She said with the house full like this the dogs want to be a part of the party and they wouldn't be going anywhere. She was clearly not okay with my request and implied we wouldn't be invited in the future. She left to attend to something else and we decided to leave the party. My son seemed okay with that decision as he perked up when we were in the car. I got a text later from the host saying my request was inappropriate. Am I the asshole? Edit. The conversation was 2 minutes tops. It was not extended and we were at the host's house maybe 10 minutes. You are the asshole, unfortunately. This is not your house and you are not in charge of the environment. To be clear, you were fully within your rights to request that the dogs be closed off in a room. But when the host says no, that's the end of your power over them. Setting boundaries with people means defining your response to their behavior, not controlling that behavior altogether. When you said, "My son can't be at a party with these dogs," and the host said, "Well, I am not shutting away the dogs," then the reasonable response is to say thanks for inviting us, but my son is upset so we're gonna have to leave. Let's see if we can arrange future meetings in a dog-free environment. You are the asshole. I think it was borderline okay to ask, once, but then to press the issue, I reiterated, was out of line. A better approach would have been to thank her for the invitation, but to explain that unfortunately you wouldn't be able to stay because of your son's fear of dogs. At that point she could have offered to put the dogs away, but if she didn't, you wouldn't suggest it. Give your gift to the birthday child, apologize for not staying, and leave. Or, stay, and give your son the opportunity to start to get over his fear in a low-stakes situation, where he could leave at any time. Sorry, but you are the asshole. Having dogs is really common. So if you're going to some child's house and you know dogs are an issue for your child, this is something you should address ahead of time. Like food allergies. You can't just show up and make demands. If the dog was actually dangerous, that would be a different story, and totally the owner's responsibility to make sure the dog is away from people or whatever. But just a friendly pet? They're all over the place. Do the advance work next time. Also, this would be a great thing to take your kid to therapy for, because it's kind of miserable going through life afraid of dogs. In vivo exposure or EMDR would be the best ways to go. You are the asshole. I get why you asked, so that your son could feel more comfortable at the party, but asking someone, in their own house, to lock away their dogs is extremely out of line. If you can't stand the dogs being out, you leave. You control yourself, not their household. I am not crazy about dogs and even afraid of some dogs, but I wouldn't think it's my place as a guest to make such a request. I'd just leave. Okay, let me preface this by saying that I do not like dogs. In fact, I hate them and actively avoid interacting with them. So I understand where you are coming from. However, I would never dream of asking someone to lock their dogs away whilst at their home. I either politely put up with the dogs, or I leave or decline to attend. When you are invited to someone else's home, you accept it as you find it or not at all. It is not your place to dictate. Unfortunately, I had to go with you or the asshole here. Would I be the asshole for getting a memorial tattoo before my sister? So I, 19F, wanted to get a tattoo. A purple heart with wings and a halo for my nana who we lost 5 years ago in her sleep. I'll admit the whole desgin and idea are on short notice, but it's the first time I've really thought about getting a tattoo and I really want to. I'll sit on it for a couple weeks though, but my sister, 17F, wants to get a memorial tattoo too, and has for years. She's demanding I wait until her birthday passes, end of July, to get it done. Our designs are nothing alike. She wants a purple unicorn. Would I be the asshole if I didn't wait until after my sister's birthday passes? Nah, but it would be a nice outing to get it done with your sister. Why the urgency? July is coming up soon. Honestly, quality tattoo artists book out in advance sometimes anyway. Is there a reason other than, I want what I want, that you can't just wait until right after her birthday and do it together? Nah, but it's been 5 years. Why exactly can't you wait and do it with your sister once she's of age? It would create unnecessary anger for the sake of, what, 3 months? Come on. You have the opportunity to have a lifetime memory with your sister to commemorate someone you both love dearly. Just wait for her. Also, maybe ask yourself why you are so eager to get it done so quickly without her. Is there a reason the two of you are racing? Do you have your individual artists picked out? Have you had a consultation? Your why now determines who the asshole is here. Nah, but I've scheduled your tattoo and your sister's and pay for some of it as her birthday gift. A good artist will be out a couple months, then you can feel like you're moving forward and she would be happy to be included, I'm sure.